Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Creative Playground with me. Yay. Sorry about the delay. I was having some technical difficulties. Yeah. So I have a different setup going on here. So if I'm looking awkward, bear with me. But I just want to do some art like I did last Sunday. I was supposed to do it tomorrow, but whatever. It's Saturday. I have nothing else to do. So I want to show up here for you guys. So yay. So I'll be working on this image here. And I'm also talking about being a late bloomer and if it's too late for you to become a dreamer. Okay. All right. So this topic comes up pretty often because for a lot of people in the world, like the world kind of tells them, oh, if you don't make it by a certain age, then it's curtains for you, like it's over. There's really like no hope for you to be a good like artist or I don't know. It's this pressure from society that they put on you to really be amazing by the time you're 18. And you could see little like hints of it when you're in college or honestly when you're in high school, like before you even get to like apply to colleges and stuff like that. People are already asking you like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Right. And we talked a little bit about that last time. But I feel like society puts all this unnecessary pressure on us. And so you wonder why like these kids are having meltdowns and like people are, killing themselves because they feel like they're not making a difference in the world. And it's really put on, like this pressure is put on by society. So when I was 25, I had like a quarter life crisis. And like literally, I was like, I'm not doing anything with my life. I'm a failure. I'm an artist. And so I'm not famous or I'm not making, not even famous, but I'm not making like solid money with my art. I'm like, oh, I'm a failure. Like if I can't pay my bills with my art, then there's no point in making it. Like, why am I making this art? Who told me that I should just go out here and go do it? Like, this is for the birds, whatever. And I really struggled like a lot. I really struggled with self-worth and feeling like anything I did really mattered. It just felt like nothing I was doing mattered. And all around you, like you have the media and everybody else telling you, hey, if you're not, hitting it by this age, then it's your fault. It's your problem. Like things aren't happening because, I don't know, you're not willing for them to happen or something similar. And I'm glad that I'm out of that phase right now because it was not fun and I don't wish it on anybody. Either way, though, I think it's important to talk about being a late bloomer and to really see that the majority of people are late bloomers. And so then if the majority of the world are late bloomers, then is late blooming even a thing? Like, should we really be comparing when we bloom, how we bloom, like to the person next to us? I don't know. I don't think so. But anyway, before I get there, it took me 9 years to graduate college. 9 years. And it's a really humbling experience when all the people who came in with you are like on their way out, like they're like, yeah, we're, graduating next year. And in 2012, I'm like, oh, well, that's not my story. Like, I'm definitely not on the path to graduation right now. And, it wore my self-esteem. I was embarrassed. Like people would ask me, oh, and not even in a mean way, but people would ask me like, oh, when do you graduate? And I'm like, I have no idea. But when I was in college, I was really going through a lot of things, like a lot of life stuff. And I just didn't have the emotional capacity to really just be present for my studies because in the grand scheme of things, it really didn't matter to me. I don't care what you're teaching me. I can't pay my bills, or I don't care what you're teaching me. My parents just got divorced, like things like that. Like real life was happening. And these teachers kind of just expect you to be like, okay, well, turn in that assignment on Friday, And like I said before, like I was using alcohol as a coping mechanism back then. And I just, again, therapy is for everybody. And I wish I had gone to therapy. I wish I had the resources to go to therapy. I don't think I ever was really like therapy averse, but like I didn't have the money because it's expensive. And it just wasn't something that we talked about in my home. Like it wasn't like, oh yeah, such and such is in therapy. And we didn't really like dog it. We didn't say like it was something bad, but like it's just something we just never did. And I don't know. I think again, life happening, But also, I don't know if I was really built for like college per se. Like the whole system of like get in and get out in 4 years and get everything you ever need to be a successful anybody in the world just never really resonated with me. Even when I was in school, I got really good grades my senior and junior year. But for the rest of the years, like I just didn't apply myself because I didn't see the point. I didn't really get it. I was like, in the grand scheme of things, how is this going to help me down the road? I don't want to be a physicist. I don't want to be, a microbiologist. And I get it. Like some people have to go to college to be successful. Like if you want to be a doctor, you probably should go to college, right? But for me, I was like, I just want to be an artist, And I also didn't know any other choices that I had because I went to school for American Sign Language. I'm still studying that now. And I didn't know anything about community colleges that had that as an option. Like for all I knew was like, everybody was like, just go to college and that's it. And then you go to college and it's the first time you're on your own and, you don't know anybody there and you're trying to like figure yourself out. And it could get a little struggly. It could get really, really struggly. And so I struggled. So it took me 9 years to graduate college. And there was so much shame around that. It was so much shame from family members, like from myself, like, girl, like you're a failure. You're not finished and everybody else is. Everybody else has had graduation parties or on their master's degree, on their second bachelor's. And here I am still an undergrad studying things. Yeah. So late blooming, I totally understand. I was 27 when I got my undergraduate degree. And there are people though, like I'm finding out now that this pressure that we put on ourselves to like have it all together is really just, it's a facade. There are plenty of people who don't have their degree yet and are like in their 50s and 60s and 70s and who choose not to opt in to this idea of like, oh, well, if you haven't gotten it by this time, then it's too late for you. And I think for me, I bought into that mindset. Like, oh, well, if I don't have my degree by 26, I'm done, and that kept me from going back to school. And so finally at 27, I'm like, you know what, let's just get this last semester in and do the thing. Granted, there was also a lot of stuff around why I didn't graduate the first time in 2014. That's a whole other conversation. Either way, I just recommitted to the process and I'm like, okay, we're going to do this. Like we're going to finish this degree just because I want to, not because I'm trying to prove something to anybody else. I really just want to finish something and get it out of my hair to get it done. And when I was in the graduation like ceremony, there were people who were graduating with their degree later than me. I think the oldest person in my class, like the class of 2017, was like 70 something, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm just like, wow, like that's amazing. That's wonderful. And again, I blame the media. I'm an artist. I sing. If you haven't seen any of my videos before, that's what I usually do, is I'm usually on here singing. And in the music industry, one, it's ageist. And more than that, it's sexist, right? So they want women who are like young and fit and sexy, or their standard of sexy. And they want them to be like something they can sell, to be honest. And so for me, I'm like, okay, well, my clock is ticking, God. Like, I don't know about sexy, but I'm getting up there, up there in age, right? And it's crazy because someone who's like in their 50s or 60s would look at me and be like, girl, bye, But I felt that at 25, I just felt like the whole like world was collapsing on me. I haven't made a mark in the world. I haven't done anything super phenomenal. I'm not on a 30 under 30s list. Just stupid stuff like that. And that stuff really kept me from being all of myself. It kept me from creating the stuff I wanted to create. It kept me from taking chances because I'm like, oh, well, it's too late now. It's too late now. And it made me less apt to want to take risks, to try new things. And like, who told us this lie? Again, I say media and also other things. But like people would ask me like, oh, well, when are you going to get a real job? And things like, and I don't think they meant any harm by it. I just think that in today's standards, in the world standards, it's like, oh, well, if you don't have, I don't know, a 9-to-5 job, then you're kind of failing out here. And for a lot of millennials, though, it's like, one, because I'm about to go on a rant, but for one, a lot of the jobs aren't just, okay, jobs in like service industry and things like that. Sure. Like there are a lot of jobs out there for jobs like that, right? For people like me. But if you want a job where you can actually like afford things, make a living, and by living, I mean living comfortably and safely and healthily, and also be able to build a savings, then you're going to have to do more than just working at McDonald's or working at a restaurant. There's no security. There's no health care. There's no benefits. And even if they do offer benefits, it's really, really expensive. And so if you're only making $8 an hour, you can't really afford health insurance, you know? And usually the only way to get those benefits is by getting like a legit corporate job or 9 to 5. And of course there are exceptions to this rule, but yeah, I didn't have any qualifications to make me a lot of money on a job. I literally lived with my mother until I got married because I wasn't making enough money with student loans, trying to afford rent, insurance, paying your car off. There was no way that I could really live a full life, you know? Like I might be able to make it, you know, in a low-end apartment with, I don't know, minimal healthy foods and stuff like that. But as far as like living well, there was no way. It was not happening. So all that to say that like graduating late and then also never being able to have my own apartment or my own place, a place to call my own home, that really weighed on me. And it made me feel like, in a lot of ways, like I said, a failure. And I look back on that now, like I'm 30 now. And so 5 years ago, I was freaking out. And my husband will tell you, like, I was not in a good space, like not in a good space at all. Like I had so much debilitating anxiety because I thought that it was too late and my life was over. And I was just like preoccupied with like death and like making a mark in the world and not really living life, not really being present. And for someone who struggles with depression and anxiety, it was not a good mix because, you know, I felt anxious because I'm not doing anything, but then I felt bad. I felt depressed because I wasn't doing anything. And then I felt the need to make something. And then if it didn't work out, it didn't make money, then, you know, it was over for me. So I hope y'all understand what I'm saying. Either way, I was really obsessed with this need to make a huge mark before I turned 30. You know, again, you talk about the 30 under 30 lists. I wanted to be on that list. The thing is, even if I wasn't on a list, I wanted to do something with my life that I thought would be deemed good enough to be on that list. So maybe I'm not like a businesswoman, but I want to at least be making steady income with my art. You know, I want to be validated in that way. And I don't think I really ever got that validation. With schoolwork and grades, you know, they tell you whether or not you're good enough. Oh, what'd you get on this assignment? Oh, okay. You know, like that's your grade. That equals your worth, you know? And it's something that we're taught way, way, way young in grade school. And for me, I was carrying that for the rest of my life. Oh, okay, well, no one's buying your thing, then you got an F on your assignment. Like that's the equivalent. That's what the equivalent was to me. And so anyway, there's nothing wrong with being a late bloomer. Majority of the world doesn't get it together until after they're 30. And I mean, why would we put pressure on 20-year-olds? When I was 20, I don't know what I was doing. I was doing a lot of stuff. I was just trying to figure out who I was. I was trying to, you know, honestly figure out if I still wanted to major in what I was majoring in, which honestly I didn't want to. But yeah, I had nothing that I could offer myself now. Like, I'm sure that I had some experience. I'm sure I don't want to be super hard on myself, but I would have, if I were to become rich and famous, like all that wealth would be gone. I'd probably be like drunk somewhere or like unable to like cope with people not liking me, like that kind of stuff. And I was watching a document or a little clip on YouTube earlier talking to Timbaland. And he was talking about how, and the gentleman who was talking about the video, I'll share it once I find it. But he was talking about how, you know, if you're 30, 40, or 50, you have a lot more to offer. You know, like we think, and it's so disgusting because this culture is so obsessed with youth that they throw away our older people. They throw away their resources or how valuable they are to the communities. In other communities all across the world, older people are seen as gems. Like older people are seen as like respectable beings, because they are, because of all the things they've been through, all the things they can teach us, all the things that they know that we don't, like, we glean from them. But it's only here in America where it's like, oh no, like, my 70-year-old grandmother is a nuisance and I got to put her in a home. And I'm not even talking about like if she's ill, but like, oh, I don't want to deal with this. Almost like people have an expiration date before they die. Like and for me, that's where a lot of that anxiety was coming from. No one's going to care about me once I turn 30. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's true. That's how I felt. Like, no one's going to come and watch me sing if I'm 50 years old, I don't know, traveling the country, playing songs that I wrote. And that rule doesn't even apply to me. If the music is good, I'm gonna listen to it. Like, I'm gonna go to the concert. I don't really care how old that person is. No, this is ugly. But for me, I think it was just hard to see myself in that same like light. Like, oh, girl, you're only 30. Like, please, you have time. No, at the time I felt like, oh, I'm 30 and I have nothing to show for it. Like, but the thing is, I do. Right? I might not have Grammys. I might not have, riches and wealth, but I have, or I'll say riches, but I have wealth. I have good health. I have good friends. I have a great community that I belong to. I have, honestly, multiple communities that I belong to. I have my art. I have the ability to create. That's a gift from God, right? Like, I have great family, friends. And again, like, I'm not out on the street, so could that be good enough? Could that be riches? Could that be what makes me matter? Could it really make me matter that God just made me, And I think about the Bible, and God never like put a limit on what we could do based on our age. If you look in the Bible, people were old, like people were old doing amazing things, like being used by God. And I think one thing that I'm learning about God is that he never rushes anything. We're always in a rush. We're always in a rush. Like, again, this hustle culture and this like culture of like, oh, if you don't make it by whatever age, then you're nothing. You might as well just pack it up and go home. And I think about Taraji P. Henson, because she, I think, moved out to LA, if I'm not mistaken, when she was 27 and she had a child. And so people told her, y'all can check this, I could be wrong about the exact age, but people told her like, nah, girl, it's not going to hit for you. Like, it's not going to hit for you because, you're over the age of like, young, youthful stars, and you have a kid. Like, no, you might as well go back to DC, try again, try something else. But she was determined to not let age be a factor and a reason for them not to take her seriously, And I guess I see that, and I always feel so good when I find out that people got a late start. It's really refreshing to me, and it's really humbling to me, because it's really like, okay, majority of the people aren't like 13, 15, 18 when they get their big break or their big hit. Like, you look back in the day, some of these stars didn't really get, hits like that. Like, I'm talking like Motown and all this other stuff till they were like 30 something. And I don't know. I feel like, I don't know if today's culture is just different in that way. Like, it feels like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if today's culture is different in the way, like, it feels like there's like this pressure cooker, like this microwave for everything, even the pressure that we put on our kids and stuff like that. Like, who says we got to rush? Why do we have to, who wants to rush? I don't want to rush. Like, I want to take my time. I want to be able to enjoy the fruit of my labor, right? I don't want to have to like, I don't know, like, oh yeah, you did this great thing, now it's on to the next great thing. And I think for a lot of celebrities, that's what they're doing. Like, a lot of them are just literally chasing their next big thing. And that sucks. Like, you do all that work to get this place, and then in all that, you still gotta hustle and you still gotta grind. Nah, I'm not interested. That's exhausting to me. That's exhausting. All right. Yeah, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but we will see. And so the reason why I bring that up is because a lot of people allow age to be a factor or a reason, and I know it because I've done it. They allow it to be a reason why they don't want to do something. Like, they're like, oh, well, I'm too old. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, do you know how to do this or not? Do you know, like, can you do this thing or not? And if you can, your age doesn't matter. And it's like, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to the majority of the people. It matters to the people who are trying to push an image, who are trying to push like this idea. But for the most part, people don't really care. Like, I don't know. I think because I was so obsessed with age, like I would start looking at these stars and be like, okay, so there's this person who's my age who's making music, but let me see when they started, right? And those people tend to be like not the rule. Like, they are the people who are rich and famous by the time they're 15. Those are the people. Those are like rare. Those experiences are really, really rare. And so I'm just like, okay, well, if they just got here, today, then maybe I can resonate with them. Maybe there would be some hope for me. And because I feel like there is no hope, because I'm like, well, I want to see someone who got started when they're 30, right? And was able to do something amazing. And then I heard an interview, or watched an interview, I should say. And there was this older woman. She was 90 something years old, and just started to learn how to paint, just started painting. And I was watching her interview, and I think like they asked her like, oh, well, did you ever think there was limitations? And she was like, no. Like, literally, she doesn't think about her age. She's like, oh, I just like painting. She doesn't go to the studio every day and it's like, oh, I'm a 90-something-year-old painter. No. She goes in the studio and she's like, what can I create today? Let me do something that's actually fun. And it reminds me of a quote that I heard recently on a podcast, and they were saying that the place where all the dreams are, like the richest place in the world, are graveyards. Because people die with dreams that they never pursue, things they never try, because they think they're too old, they think they're unqualified, they think no one's going to get it, no one's going to listen to them, or people have told them no, and they've taken that and been like, okay, well, I'm never doing this again because being rejected hurts. Being rejected sucks. And it does suck, but I am trying my hardest to not let these dreams and passions and opportunities and, good times go to the grave with me. Like, I want to leave here. And I've heard other people say this too, but I want to leave here empty, meaning I did everything that I wanted to do. I tried everything I wanted to try. Even if I'm 95 and I want to go skydiving, all right, let's do it. Like, I want to live a whole life, a whole juicy life. And for me, really getting to the point where age wasn't necessarily such a huge block in my life was really important. I don't know if it was just like me getting older. I'm like, whatever. Like, I'm 30 now, like a magical age. I've heard a lot of people say that, like, 30 is a magical age where you're just kind of like, whatever. I'm me. Like, this is just what it is. And you're less stressed about either what people think and your age. It's kind of like, okay, whatever. Like, I thought 30 when I was 10, I thought 30 was so many years away. And now that I'm here, I'm like, oh, okay. So it's like when I was 10, except I'm 20 years older than that now, like, it's not really as, I don't know, as big as we make it. Now, it's a blessing to age, of course. But I think because society's like, oh, you're 30, what have you done? Like, it's like, what? I have so much life to live, Lord willing. Like, I don't want to put all of it right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to live all my life right now. I want to live multiple lives. Meaning I want to be free enough to, like, okay, at 30, maybe I'm pursuing a music career. Maybe 10 years later, I have a nonprofit. Maybe 10 years beyond that, it's something else, right? Because I want to be able to be present for everything that I do. I don't want to try to jam pack everything in the same place, in the same era, in the same, like, there's so much life to live. Why would I want, like, to stress myself out and put all this life into 5 years? You know what I'm saying? Like, I want enough life to carry me for a while. And I think that's the beauty of living, is that we can always reinvent ourselves. We can always become different, or not even better. We can just become different versions of ourselves. And I do think we get better with age. I do think that. I think, like a lot of people who have those thoughts about like, oh, well, I don't really have anything to offer. I'm old. And it's like, are you kidding me? You're old. You have everything to offer. Tell me everything. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm obsessed with people's stories, because everybody thinks they're not interesting. Everybody thinks like their life is boring. It's like, well, I don't really have anything to like share. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, and so then and of course they bring up something where it's like, what? Like, you're freaking amazing. Especially like older folk. Like, I love getting up under them and being like, tell me everything. Like, tell me everything, how everything was, what you've learned, what your regrets, what you don't regret. And every time I talk to an older person, they don't care. Like, all this silly stuff we're, carrying with us about like, oh, well, I'm older and blah, blah, blah. Like, when you get that age, the only thing you're going to care about is whether or not you did something. And I think I would rather live a full life and tell my grandkids, yeah, I did this and it didn't work out, than to, live in fear. That's what I would rather do. Just try, Hope that's making sense. But yeah, this idea that we have to have everything together, I know in my heart it's foolish, but it's really hard to unlearn that. It's really hard. I'm trying to figure out how this is going on her chin. But it's really hard to unlearn these things. Like, your whole life, you're like, you have to be great. You have to be amazing, And then no one ever tells us, you just have to just be content. That's the stuff we learn later on. It's almost like they tell us, oh yeah, just be, content, like in church and things like that. But everything in society is programmed to tell us the exact opposite. Don't be content, because you're not good enough yet. You haven't earned your rest. You haven't earned, joy or like the comforts in life. And I'm not interested in that anymore. I'm not interested in working hard to like earn, worth. Because we're all born with worth. It's not oh, what did you do to like, no. You're worthy because you're here. And I want to take my time. I want to live a long and precious life. And I want to impact as many people as I can and be able to count the small, air quotes, small impacts as huge. And I can't do that if I'm trying so hard to be everything right now. Yeah. Ernie Barnes was older when he started painting. Thanks, Greet LOL1. Thanks for sharing that. I gotta look him up. I've actually never heard of him, but I love it. I love stories like that. Like stories of people getting, using air quotes, a late start, because it's really humbling and it really like, oh, I'm not alone. Like, okay, like this makes a lot of sense. People take their time doing things. But yeah, I like those stories more than I like the 30 under 30 stories. Like, miss me with the 30 under 30 list. Like, I don't care about any of that. It's, the programming is out there like for everybody to just be like, oh, amazing. And then you have stuff like social media where, again, it's more competition. It's like, who can be the most accomplished and most busy today? Like, like we're all like playing this game of who can be the most stressed out. Who's going to win that today? I don't want it. That sucks. And just like this, I really recommend, I'm going to keep saying it, Skillshare. They have I really believe that creative things can be like a meditative practice, meaning like it makes you slow down and really just like be in the moment. Like this, I can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna do this, this, and this. Like, no, like I have to really be here to do it. And I can't put the pressure on myself to be good. I just have to put the pressure on myself to do it. And being in the moment, I think, is really important in creative work. And so Skillshare has a lot of classes there that the work is really like, makes you think about things. It's contemplative and, you know, thought provoking. Did this happen? Yes. Let's see. So yeah, like, and for people who feel like, am I too old? Is it too late? The answer is no. You're not too old. It's not too late. You know, I understand that we want to have started earlier. Well, we can't go back in time, y'all. We only have today. And the best time, there's a quote that I heard, the best time to start is today. If you didn't start when you wanted to start, you got today. And for some people, they're like, no, well, I don't want to start because it's going to, you know, if I want to learn guitar, it's going to take me 5 years to learn guitar. And I'm just not interested in committing that kind of time because it's too late for me, because by then I'll be 35. And then by then, like, what can I really do? I might have a family, might be busy, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, time is going to pass either way, right? Like Lord willing, like time is going to pass either way. You're still going to be 5 years older. But the question is, do you want to be in the same place you are today, still wishing and hoping that you could, or do you want to have tried? And maybe you find out that you don't even like playing guitar, and that's nothing lost. That's information gained. Like you realize, oh, okay, I think I just like listening to it, or, you know, I think I just want to collect them because they look nice. That's okay too. You know what I'm saying? And maybe you find that you actually like lap dulcimers or something. I don't know, some other stringed instrument, and you would have never have been able to gone down that path had you not tried, you know, like actually just playing the guitar. Maybe you meet somebody that you're supposed to meet, you know. The best time to do something new is now. We got life, we have breath, like we have things that people in the grave don't have, you know, resources here. And I'm in America that people don't have. We have internet. We can learn things. We can do things our own way. Like even this, I'm just sitting here like making stuff with y'all. Like, and a lot of people might say, oh, well, that's not really important. And, you know, it's not real, or whatever they might say. But to me, I'm having a great time, and I'm not thinking about, oh, I'm too old to be doing this, to be coloring, you know, like, no, I'm doing this because it feels good, because I enjoy it. So how about y'all? Have y'all ever struggled with like not feeling, you know, young enough, or that like it's past your time, or maybe, I don't know, maybe someone told you that you're past your time, which is nonsense, or maybe you compare yourself with other people like I do. I be on, what is it? IMDb and Wikipedia, trying to figure out when people were born and doing the math. Like, okay, this person got their start when they started earlier than me. I can't do it, you know, which is so silly. We're all on our own paths, and it's okay to take your time. I think it's beautiful to take your time. Oh, thank you, Ashley. Thank you. You're so sweet. I appreciate you. Thank you. But yeah, like that's the kind of life I'm trying to live, like an unrushed, full-bodied life. And if I become interested in something, I never want to tell, like if your grandmother came to you and said, hey, such and such, you know, I want to learn, I don't know, how to play soccer, because I want to play soccer. I mean, while we might be worried, like, I want you to be healthy, we're not going to tell them no. Hopefully, if you're a good grandchild, you're not going to say no, like that's silly. That's a silly dream. No, you're going to be like, yes, grandma, let me help you if you know anything about soccer, or let me, you know, get you a coach. If our child comes to us, say we're 75 and they're 50, right? And they come to us and they say, hey, mom, I want to do this thing, but I think I'm too old. We would have so much compassion for them. We'd be like, girl, you are not too old, because our perspective is different. We'd be 75 and they'd be 50. But a lot of people we talk to ourselves like that all the time. We lack compassion for ourselves. We're so mean to ourselves. Like, you don't deserve happiness. You don't deserve joy. You know, you don't deserve to try new things because you're too old. And it's like, what is the point of being wealthy or having all these, riches? And what's the point of being here in this life if you can't enjoy it? What's the point? What's the point? And nobody says you have to become Picasso or, Beyonce. Like, maybe you just like singing because you like singing, and maybe you will amass a following. Like this 90-year-old lady who became a painter. I'm like, yo, you are my idol. Like, not idol in real life, but like you are someone I look up to, right? Because she's like, screw it. Like I'm 90. I'm going to do what I want to do. And I don't care what nobody tells me. That's the kind of life I aspire to. I'm not looking up to these 15-year-olds who don't know anything about life, who don't know anything about themselves. Sadly, like a lot of them get this stuff from their parents. And then later on, like they're all screwed up because, too young in age, they've been, told to like measure their self-worth by who likes them. Again, when I was 20, my 20-year-old self could not handle fame. I had way too much stuff going on. And I'm grateful that I never became famous because I would probably ruin my life, but at the time I felt like, God, like you set me up for failure. Like I want to be rich and famous. Like people say they like my voice. Like what's up? Like what's going on? Why can't I be, that popular? Why can't I make a living? That's the thing. I think when I was younger, it was about the fame because I think the world taught us that fame was the goal, right? Like they told us like, oh yeah, if you want to do something, I don't know. If you want to be famous, if you want to be successful, you have to be famous. And so for me, I'm like, okay, well, God, make me famous, but I don't really think that's what I really wanted. I think what I wanted was acceptance. I wanted support. I wanted people to tell me that I was good enough. I wanted to belong. I was bullied in school, like, and I wanted to feel like my gifts were validated. I wanted to feel like, okay, there's a point to all this madness. There's a reason why, I'm so burdened with this gift. And I don't mean burden like it sucks or I'm not having fun, but like I can't not create. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't. I'm sure I if something was wrong with me, if I was ill or something, absolutely, right? But like I can't not make stuff. And it's like, okay, God, well, if you made me this way to like make stuff, like can you make it make sense? Like what's up? And to be honest, sometimes, yeah, I still feel like that. Okay, what is the point? But I think the older I've gotten, the more sober I think I am. What y'all think of this? A yellow background. Steph had felt like it was past my time or missed my window when I compared myself to folks. But then I finally found a lane that I cared more about making it than the outcome. That's good. That's good. Caring more about making it, like that is really, really important, especially as a creative. Like the process has to be enjoyable. If it's not, then yeah, that's going to be, if all you're doing is doing something to be liked or to be as famous as somebody else or as rich as somebody else or, whatever, that's a miserable existence. Like you don't want to base your life off of other people. That sucks. That sucks. Thank you for sharing that, Ashley. Jay Kelly Pinckney says, I think the pressures of life can definitely make it seem like it's too late because the idea of exploring something else seems like a waste. That's so real. That's so true. I think also about trauma, like people feeling like, well, I tried this one thing, it didn't work out. I don't want to waste another X amount of years. You know what I'm saying? But again, like life is for the living. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100, 120. Like you're here, you're alive. You might as well make the stuff. You might as well do the things. Time is going to pass either way. And really stepping into creating things and trying new things and maybe new businesses or whatever, that journey, like as Ashley was talking about, the journey is like the joy of it. And I know sometimes it's hard because we do want an outcome. We do want like the things, because it's enticing, it's sexy, it's attractive, and we don't get those things, and it feels like, oh well, did I just waste my time? But yes, that's good. Finding the right lane for you is that is super important. And you'll end up chasing things, right, that have nothing to do with you. It's like, oh, I don't know. A lot of people are chasing this one thing, right? And then it's like, oh, well, I guess I got to chase that thing too. Do you? Do you even like that? Like, what is something I've been listening to a lot of podcasts before about businesses, and I'm like, okay, can I make a business out of that? Can I do that? Is that a viable option for me? And then I realized, like, I don't want to do none of that. Like, but if I was too busy focused on, we're going to give this more options. But if I was too busy focused on doing what someone else would deem as successful for the sake of being successful, my life would be a nightmare, because it would be a nightmare. All right, let's try a different color. So we got purple and pink in her turban. And so I'm thinking, what's complementary to pink? It's probably not blue. I think I did sky blue, something like that last time. Let's test it out. Let's see what happens. This is nice. It's calming. What y'all think? Blue or yellow? Yellow is nice too. Let's see. What's y'all vote? I don't know. I'm thinking blue. It's pretty calm. I like it. So what is the point of all of this, right? What is the point of us talking about like age and things like that? I really think that we should start to free ourselves to create more, to be more honest with ourselves, that we actually like the process of creating, and not be afraid of aging. That pressure, that fear, besides the fear of death, like, is coming from society. Like, again, in other cultures, older people are celebrated and they're honored and revered, and like their presence is like gold to them. It's only here in like Western cultures where it's like, oh, they're old, throw them away, put them in a home or whatever, which is really, really sad, because we miss out on so much. And one thing I think that we can learn from a lot of older people is not to care. And I know it's hard, because when we're younger, we want acceptance, we want to fit in, we want to belong, but these people, when they get older, it's like, whatever, I only have one life. You only have one life. It's not too late for you. You're not too old, despite what the world says. We should be cautious, though, especially with the things that we're doing as we get older. Like, if you want to play sports when you're 75, well, yeah, there's precautions that you take. But there's still 75-year-olds out there, in the senior Olympics, because they love playing sports. Maybe changing like our idea of what it was when we were younger, changing that into something that's more, I guess, palatable for where we are right now. I think that might be key, right? So the example I gave about the senior Olympics, right? The senior sports. So my husband, we go up there to go visit to go visit his family. And so every year, well, besides this year because of, the pandemic, every year they have senior sports. And these people are older and they're competitive, like, and I imagine they're their same selves. They come alive when they play these sports. Like, the dreams don't die when you get old. The dreams don't die at 30. They don't die at 35. Like, the dreams keep going. And I talked about this before, like, when you don't pursue something creatively, it turns into a cancer. It eats away at you. It eats away at your self-esteem. It eats away at your joy, at your peace. Because I feel like God gave you those gifts for a reason. And when you're not doing something with it, you can feel the weight of it. You can feel it not being distributed evenly. And so we, in turn, start making fun of other people. We start tearing down other people because we feel like, oh, well, if I can't do it, neither can you. We become a lesser version of ourselves when we're not really living the life that we were created to live, or trying new things. And honestly, the older we get, the more new things we try, the younger we stay. We stay young in our minds. We have more joy, more peace, better health when we're trying new things, and we're not letting fear of like aging stop us. Aging is going to happen. We're all going to age. We're all going to get old. Hopefully. Like, that's the beauty of it. That's the gift. The gift is aging, because a lot of people are getting out of here at like 18. That's not a life lived. They're like, oh yeah, I'm here for, what is it? I'm here for a good time, not a long time. No, I'm here for a good and a long time. I don't think you have to choose one. I think you can have both. And by doing both, right? How you do both is by living the life God gave you to live the best way that you can. So I'm hoping that makes sense. But either way, this is what we came up with, guys. Let me actually, yeah. So I think it's pretty good. I do like the yellow too, though. I like the yellow too. So I'll probably do both. But I'll probably add something to this soon, and then I'll be able to share it with you guys. And if you want, you can download it or, or not. But either way, y'all, thanks so much for coming live with me. Please let me know, like, have you struggled with feeling like you're too old? Have you felt like there's a pressure on you to be great right now? Like, how do you want to go against culture and just be you no matter what age? Like, literally, age is just how many times we've been around the sun. Like, that's literally all it is. It has nothing to do. It doesn't sorry, I just lost the word. It doesn't mean that the more times you go around the sun, the less value you have, the less worth you have, the less importance you have, the less stuff you have to offer to give. If anything, the more times you go around the sun, the more stuff you have to give. Like, there's stuff that 75-year-old me knows in the future that I have no idea about, and I would hope that I would use that wisdom and that grace and that experience to help if I have kids, my own kids, my grandkids, or just communities in general. Tap into your older people. Actually talk to them about that. How do y'all feel about Asian? And a lot of them don't really care. They're very content with them getting older. They just wish that community and culture wouldn't throw them away so quickly. So don't throw yourself away quickly because you're getting older. It's a beautiful thing. We're all going to do it. These 18-year-olds you're looking at, they're like, oh, I wish I could. They're going to get old too, Lord willing, and they'll be in the same place. But I just want y'all to live a whole and healthy and happy life. Okay? So until next time, you guys, I will talk to you soon. Keep creating, keep making, keep celebrating yourself, even in your older age. So what? If you're a late bloomer, so what? I told y'all it took me 9 years to graduate college. I didn't die. I didn't die. Like, people had things to say, sure, but I still got the same degree. It just took me longer. Take your time, live your life. It'll be fine. Once we stop comparing ourselves to other people, that's when we actually start to live. So until next time, you guys, talk to you later. Bye.